Very good morning, students. Now, in this video, I am going to show you the mid-sagittal section of the head and neck region. Okay. So, in this section, we will learn about the nasal cavity, about the section passing through the oral cavity. This part is the nasal cavity. This is the oral cavity. Then we will learn also about the pharynx, that is the nasopharynx, oropharynx and the laryngopharynx. Okay. Similarly, we will learn about the part which is seen for that of the longitudinal section of the larynx. Okay. So let us see the peripheral part first. Now this is the base of the skull. Okay, the cranial cavity. This was the roof of the orbit which was removed here. So this is the anterior cranial fossa, middle cranial and posterior cranial fossa. So these are the cranium. Cranial or brain box is here. Now below this, what you see is the nose is here. The forehead was here. The nose is here. The anterior median section passing through the nostrils are here. This is the upper lip. I hope you are seeing the upper lip here. This is the lower lip. Now the mandible has gone from here. That has been dissected already. So this was the site for the mandible here. This is the cross section of the tongue is here. This is the section passing through the hard palate. This is the section passing through the soft palate, and beyond this tongue you will see that this is the epiglottis. That means it is the beginning of the larynx. So this is the larynx, and beyond this it is the trachea is here. Pharynx is here, and deep to the pharynx this is the retropharyngeal space is here, which lies in front of the vertebral column. So this is the longitudinal section passing through the vertebral column. This is the sphenoidal air sinus is here. The basi-sphenoid bone, sloping bone forming the clivus is here. Now this is the cross section of the anterior arch of the atlas is here. Okay. And then here it is the odontoid process is here. This is this is the odontoid anterior arch of atlas, or C1 is here. Then if you see this vertebral column, posterior to this vertebral bodies and intervertebral disc here, we see the vertebral canal. And in this vertebral canal, at the level of foramina magnum here, we are seeing the passage of the medulla. Beyond the medulla, then this is the cervical part of the spinal cord. Here are the spinous process of the cervical vertebrae. This is the occipital bone is here. Okay. So this was just a peripheral structure which we have seen. Now we will take one by one. Let us see first the nasal cavity. Now the nasal cavity is a broad cavity, okay, which is having the lateral wall. This is the partly cut lateral wall of the nasal cavity is here. The other half of this section has gone where the part of this nasal cavity lateral wall, that is the superior nasal concha, has gone in this section. Okay, so this is the median wall, or the medial wall of the nasal cavity. So in this it is the lateral wall of the nasal cavity. Superior nasal concha is gone. This is the middle nasal concha, and this one is the inferior nasal concha. Just I will pass the forceps beneath there. And beneath this concha there are the depressions which are called as the meatuses. So this is the deep to it is the middle meatus. Here where my forceps is here, this will be the inferior meatus, and here will be the superior meatus and superior concha which was cut in the sectioning. Now this is recess is here. This is the sphenoid bone, as an sphenoidal air sinus is here, and this is recess is called as the sphenoethmoidal recess. So this recess is the sphenoethmoidal recess in which the sphenoidal air sinus is going to open. Okay, it is going to open. So this is the lateral wall of the nose. Then there is a roof of the nose, and roof of the nose consists of the three parts. Anterior sloping part is here, which is going right up to the ala of the nose. Then this is the middle part, which is horizontal, formed by mostly the cribriform plate of the ethmoid on the side of the crista galli. And then this sloping part, posterior part, which is the sloping part, is formed by the basisphenoid bone, okay, sphenoid bone, which will be continuous with the basal part of the occipital bone also, okay. So this is the roof. The floor of the nasal cavity is formed by this, the hard palate here, and then it continues with that of the soft palate also. So the medial wall, I have shown you the median nasal septum of the nose, not very well seen. See here, if I remove that part here, which was of the superior concha here of the opposite side, then you can see here, this is the median nasal septum or the medial wall, okay, medial wall. So this is about the nasal cavity. There will be the other structure which are openings into the nasal cavity will be there, which you can see. Part of this I can show you here. This is the bulla ethmoidale, that bulging. If you see the bulging deep to the middle meatus, or I would say the middle concha. This is the middle meatus in which this bulging is seen, that is the bulla ethmoidale. And deep to the bulla ethmoidale, I will show you there is again a crescentric cavity is there, okay. And in this crescentric cavity, there will be the many structure will open. That is the frontal air sinus will come anteriorly through the frontonasal duct. Then there will be the opening of the middle ethmoidal sinus, and the opening of the maxillary air sinus will be seen in this, okay. While deep to this inferior concha, there will be only one opening, which I cannot show you here, is a minute opening, and that opening is in the inferior meatus for the nasolacrimal duct. Similarly, in the sphenoethmoidal recess, as I said, opening of the sphenoidal air sinus, and deep to that of the superior meatus or highest concha, superior meatus will have the opening of the posterior ethmoidal sinuses, okay. So all these walls of the nasal cavity are covered by the mucous membrane. They are covered by, okay. Posteriorly, this nasal cavity is continuous with that of the nasopharynx, okay, at the isthmus, okay. And in this wall of this posterior wall, the lateral wall of the nasopharynx, which we will learn, there are many structures are seen. Anteriorly, the nasal cavity is continuous with the anterior nasal opening. This is the vestibule. This part is called as the atrium, okay. So I hope that this completes the section of the nasal cavity. Let us come to the oral cavity. And in the oral cavity, we are seeing this is the cross section of the tongue, which is showing the genioglossus muscle. This is the geniohyoid muscle, and this one is the mylohyoid muscle is here. This is mylohyoid, genioglossus muscle, which is there, and there will be the intrinsic muscles are. This is the mucous membrane covering to the dorsal aspect of the tongue. If I just open it, this is the anterior 2/3, this is the posterior 1/3 part, and these rounded elevations, they are for that of the circumvallate papillae, okay. Sulcus limitans is here. V-shaped groove will be seen here, okay. So the posterior 1/3 and anterior 2/3 is seen here. Now there is a bone here, which I can feel it here. This bone here, it is the cross section of the hyoid bone. This is the cross section of the hyoid bone. Beyond the hyoid bone, now then we go to that of these two remaining structure which are to be seen. One is the pharynx and another is the larynx. Let us see the pharynx. The pharynx is divided into three parts. The part of the pharynx which lies posterior to this isthmus, that is called as the nasopharynx. The part which lies at the tip of the soft palate and the epiglottis, this part of the pharynx is called as the oropharynx because it is continuous with the oral cavity. The nasopharynx is continuous with the nasal cavity, and here this is the opening of the larynx is here, from the tip of the epiglottis right up to the cricoid cartilage, okay, and the cricoid cartilage is present at the level of the cervical fifth vertebrae, upper border of the sixth, okay, cervical upper border of the sixth vertebrae, okay. So from here epiglottis up to the lower margin of the cricoid cartilage, this is the larynx, okay, and whatsoever part of the pharynx which lies posterior to this larynx is called as the laryngopharynx. So this part, large part, is the laryngopharynx, then it is the oropharynx, and this is the nasopharynx. If we see the wall of the nasopharynx, we will see that in the lateral wall of the nasopharynx there is a elevation is called, what is called as, this is called as tubal elevation, and this is surrounding to this posteriorly, it is surrounding to a opening in which I have passed the forceps here, and this forceps is going into the opening of the auditory tube here, okay, which opens in the lateral wall of the nasopharynx, okay. So this is the salpingopharyngeal fold coming from the posterior aspect of the tubal opening or tubal swelling. Here it is the salpingopharyngeal mucus fold is here, salpingopharyngeal fold is here. Then what you will see here, this is when we go, this is the soft palate, this is the nasal surface or pharyngeal surface of the soft palate, and this is the buccal surface of the soft palate. Till the tip of the soft palate, this is the nasopharynx, and from the tip of the soft palate up to the epiglottis, this small part is the oropharynx is here. In the oropharynx, there are only two important structures to be seen. One is the fold from the uvula of the soft palate. One of the fold is going posteriorly towards the pharynx, what is called as the palatopharyngeal fold, this fold in my forceps. This is the palato, and another fold which will go from uvula towards that of the tongue, this fold here. This fold is called as the palatoglossal fold. So there is a palatoglossal and then the palatopharyngeal fold, and in between these two folds, this small structure which is seen, it is called as the palatine tonsil. So this is the palatine on the right side, this is from the right side, okay. So this is the palatine tonsil, and these two folds are only the structure which are to seen. This is the posterior wall of the pharynx, and in the posterior wall of the nasopharynx as well as in the oropharynx, the deep to the mucous membrane, there will be lymphoid collections which are called as the adenoids or the pharyngeal tonsil. Let us come to the part of the pharynx which is posterior to that of the larynx, what is called as laryngopharyngeal part. This is that laryngopharyngeal part. Anteriorly is the opening of the larynx is seen. This is the epiglottis, and this is going right up to the posterior. This fold is called as array epiglottic fold. This is array epiglottic. This is the opening of the larynx is seen here. Beyond this, it is the posterior surface of the larynx, that means arytenoid and cricoid cartilage lamina will be here, and then here will be the at the lower margin of cricoid cartilage up to the upper border of the sixth cervical vertebrae, there will be the beginning of the esophagus. This is the esophagus, okay. This part is the esophagus part is here, that part is the esophagus, okay. Now beyond this pharynx, you can see this vertebral column, as I said, and in the vertebral canal, spinal cord is there. This was the odentite process, C2, this is C3, C4, C5, and this is the C6, okay, C6, and this is the C7, and these are the intervertebral disc are there, okay, intervertebral disc are there. I think if we see the larynx, open it larynx in the section, we can see the two folds, the vestibular fold and that of the vocal fold is here. You can see that just here, the upper fold here is the vestibular fold, and this lower fold is the vocal fold is here. Now, so this is the part of the larynx. The vocal fold is responsible for production of the sound. Okay, so and beyond that, this smooth part is also the part of the larynx, and then the trachea continues, okay, beyond the cricoid cartilage. But if we see this is a space between the larynx and the pharynx, here there is a deep depression is seen where I am putting my finger between this is a part of the pharynx itself, laryngopharynx. This is called as the pyriform fossa. Okay, so this is the pyriform fossa. I hope that I have completed almost all the part of the sagittal section of the head and neck region. Thank you very much for watching this video.